Good morning, everyone. Getting started off early this morning. So, continuing on in the book of Genesis this morning. Last time we talked about Noah, about the loading of the ark. And as we continue on with Noah this morning, we know how it ended. That I believe it was after 358 days. I think that's right. Don't hold me to it. Noah was able to exit the ark. God opened the door, and Noah could leave. One important note about that is, if you read that, it's actually about a month after Noah had sent the dove out and it didn't return before this happened. So there was dry land before then. But Noah waited on God's timing. Kevin would have probably said, okay, let's get out of here. We've been in here for 218 days, folks. Let's get out. Somebody open the door. But that's not what Noah did. He waited until God said it's time for you to come out. Noah was obedient. So they exit the ark. See that Noah makes an altar, makes a sacrifice to God, and God makes a new covenant with Noah that he will never again destroy the earth in this manner, obviously with a flood. We know if we read all the way through the Bible, God will cleanse the earth with a fire the next time. So, God makes this covenant. And we read about Noah's descendants, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. And we read the story about how Ham disrespected his father. And because of that, he was the father of Canaan, which is the land that will, and the people that will constantly be at war with God's people. That's the significance of sin in our life. Ham's sin, although we don't read a lot about it to really know what it was. There's a lot of different theories on that, and I won't go into all of them. You're welcome to investigate them. What actually happened, we don't know. But what we do know, and what God clearly demonstrates in His Word here, is that sin affected generations even today. So when we think that our sin doesn't really hurt anyone, we're fooling ourselves. It can go from generation to generation. So as we read on here, what God says to them, and this isn't the first time we've read this, and it won't be the last. What does He say to them? Be fruitful and multiply and scatter over all the earth. Be fruitful, multiply, scatter. Well, they followed part of that. Followed half of it. And as I was reading back over that this morning, it occurred to me what it spoke to me was half obedience is not obedience. What they did was they were fruitful and they multiplied, but they didn't scatter. because we're going to read about, we're going to talk about here in just a minute about the Tower of Babel. So, be fruitful, multiply, scatter. Half obedience. You know, it's half the play. You don't get credit for it. I think about my Ole Miss basketball team right now. You know, they seem to be getting better on defense, and they play good defense, and they make a stop on the defensive end, but then they let the other team get an offensive rebound. So they did no good, because the other team got the ball right back, and then they scored. It's half of the play. Doesn't do any good. You know, when I used to coach Little League, I remember the kids, you know, they'd make a great catch and then make a terrible throw. And that's what I'd say. Man, you made a great half of a play. You made a great half of a play. How many times do I do that? Do I make half of a play? And let's not mistaken what half of a play can be sometimes. Sometimes it can be God calls me to do something right then. And I do it, but I do it later. I don't do it right then. That's disobedience. So there it is. Half obedience is disobedience. And disobedience will never be blessed by God. We will never be successful in our Christian walk by disobeying God, by half obeying. If you don't like to say disobeying, you can say half obeying, and I'll know what you're talking about. So what do we read about in the people, in the descendants of Noah here? They were fruitful and they multiplied. And then we read about they decided among themselves, you know what, let's all gather together and let's build this great city. And in this great city, we're going to build this tall tower that reaches up to heaven. You know, a lot of people talk about their sin was building the tower, that they thought they could build a tower that would go to heaven, but that was not their sin. Because the rest of that sentence is, let's build a tower that goes up to heaven so people will know who we are and what we've done. We're going to build this tower so we can say, everybody look at what I did. The great sin of the Tower of Babel was not the Tower of Babel. The great sin was the pride of the people that wanted to build the Tower of Babel. He said, let's come together and we're going to build this thing, and everybody's going to look at us and say, man, look what they did. Yeah, isn't that what we do so many times in our lives? Y'all look what I did. What I did. Everybody look at me. Man, we live in that society now, don't we? Everybody look at me. Look what I did. You don't have to guess what I did. I'll put it on social media so you can see it. You can see what I did. And let's talk about me for a little bit. I always think of Terrell Owens. At least he was honest. What did he say? I love me some me. You know. I couldn't stand him. But how many times am I saying the same thing? Man, I love me some me. When I'm half obedient, that's what I'm doing. Saying, God, I don't want to do that. That's not me. I love me some me. I don't know why that just popped in my head, but yeah, that's what he said. I love me some me. So, what did God do? God didn't say, well, you know what? Y'all kind of did what I said, so I'm not. No. He scattered them across the earth, and he gave them all different languages so they couldn't communicate with each other. And that is why we have language barriers today. So again, their sin, and don't get me wrong, we would have done the same sin. I'm not saying it's their fault. We would have done the same. But because of their sin, this is our God moment of the day. He will not tolerate sin. And it will not just affect us, it will affect other people. We read about 2 today. And because of those 2 sins, we can't communicate with each other effectively because we can't all speak the same language on this earth. And the Canaanites, the descendants of Ham, are always at war with God's people. Sin has consequences. And not just to us, to our descendants, thousands of years down the road. It's a stain that doesn't wash off. We can't wash it off ourselves. Only Jesus can clean that. But even then, it still has consequences on earth. So let's take sin for what it is. It's a serious matter. And that's what we see in today's reading. God bless you. I hope you have a great day. I hope that you don't decide to be half obedient today. Let's finish the play. Let's get the rebound. Let's make the good throw. Let's do it all. God bless you.